thought it was about the dogs. Nah, it's about power. Yeah. Put up to the specialty, sunrise on the ground. Dogs in the grooming tents, whispers all around. Catalog smiles with the tension in the air. Every handshake got a hidden little snare. Bored in the back room, running quiet little schemes. Bylaws in the pocket like a stack of poker dreams. Say it's for the breed, but they guarding their throne. If you question anything, they coming for your bone. Grievance in the envelope, certified mail. Club justice system, but the deck.
Welcome back, everybody. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. So we are returning from lunch. So hopefully they got their Wi-Fi figured out.
All right. Counsel, we all set?
Yes,
All right, ready for the jury?
yes.
Okay, yeah. They seem to have the faith in us.
All rise, please, your assembly. Court is back in session. You may be seated.
For the purpose of the record, we return back to the trial of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. All parties are present, including the defendant and including the 18 jurors.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Members of the jury, I think we got everything fixed. Thanks for your patience. The next witness that's going to testify is going to be testify either by Zoom or teleconference, as you can see. I just want to tell you, this witness will be under oath, and you can consider her testimony the same as if she was testifying here live. Okay? All right. Mr. Rankin.
Yes, thank you.
May I swear her in?
Yes.
Dr. Laposata, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony and the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury in the matter now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant at the bar shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Counsel.
Good afternoon, Doctor. Can you hear me?
You're a little echoey, but I can hear you.
Okay, I'm just standing in the corner here so that everybody can hear you. Tell us your name and spell your last name, please.
Dr. Elizabeth Laposata, Laposata.
And fair to say that you have some issues that require you to speak to us today by Zoom rather than appearing in person as you intended to do. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Tell us what you do for work, Doctor.
Well, I'm a medical doctor, board certified in anatomic and forensic pathology. So I have an active practice in forensic pathology where I review cases to understand how people get injured or how people die.
And how can you tell us your educational background?
Certainly. I graduated from Bucknell University in 1975, cum laude with honors in biology. I went to University of Maryland School of Medicine, where I graduated with an MD degree in 1979. I did my 2 years internship at Johns Hopkins Hospital in anatomic pathology, which is the study of diseases of the body. Then I trained in St. Louis, Missouri, with a fellowship in forensic pathology, which is understanding causes of death and how trauma affects the body.
Do you hold any board certifications or any licensures in that field?
Yes, in 1983, excuse me, I sat for my board exams and became board certified diplomat of the American Board of Pathology in anatomic and forensic pathology.
And tell us your work history, if you would, please.
Certainly, since I became board certified in 1983, I've had faculty positions in St. Louis University School of Medicine, where I also was the assistant medical examiner for the city of St. Louis. I then moved to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, where I ran the autopsy service at the hospital at the University of Pennsylvania. Had a faculty appointment there, a research lab, and I taught forensic pathology to medical students. I was also a city of Philadelphia medical examiner. After that, I was a assistant medical examiner for the state of Delaware. And in 1993, I was selected to be chief medical examiner for the state of Rhode Island, which was a position I held until 2005, when I started my independent consulting practice.
Was
So
she
you've been
in the Karen Reed
independent
trial?
Consultant, testifying in courts and working on cases since 2005?
At my own business, yes, and certainly testifying on cases before that as medical examiners employed for the city of St. Louis, the city of Philadelphia, and the state of Delaware, and the state of Rhode Island.
Okay, and now you're independent on your own, as it were, correct?
But I am, as it were, yes.
All right. Now, did I reach out to you on the case of the Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy and asked if you would help us out by looking at the discovery of the case.
Yes, you did.
And you're here to testify today. Can you tell the jurors what you actually reviewed as a basis of your opinion for your testimony?
Certainly. I reviewed medical records, and I have a list here on Dawson Clancy. I reviewed the Office of the Medical Examiner entire file. I reviewed his EMS reports, his terminal hospitalization, the Duxbury Police supplemental narrative, Duxbury Police narrative, and his pediatric South Shore healthcare medical records.
Could I just interrupt you for a minute? I apologize.
Sure.
Just in the interest of time, rather than going through every single, let me ask it this way. Did you look at police,
Okay.
Did you look at police reports?
Yes,
Did you look at grand jury minutes?
yes,
Did you look at medical records for Lindsay Clancy?
yes, I did.
Can you tell the jurors what medical records you looked at?
For Dawson Clancy?
No, for Lindsay.
I looked at-
No, not Dawson. For Lindsay Clancy.
Oh, yes, I looked at her South Shore medical records when she was admitted on the evening of January 24th. I looked at her Brigham and Women's Hospital records, and photographs that were taken of her and published in her hospital records. I looked at the Department of State Police Crime Laboratory Toxicology report, crime scene photos of the bedroom, the outside of the house, crime scene photos, approximately 500 of them, grand jury proceedings, and photographs of the round exercise band.
How about medical records? Did you review medical records pertinent to Lindsay and her treatment by healthcare providers in 2022 into 2023?
Yes.
Can you tell us what records you looked at?
I looked at her records from the post-injury records from South Shore Hospital, where she was first transported after she was found in the backyard of her house. And then I looked at her hospital records where she was transferred from South Shore Hospital to Brigham and Women's Hospital.
Excellent. Doctor, in the course of preparing for your testimony here, did I direct you to a gentleman, Mr. Drake, and ask him for help putting together a little diagram to illustrate your testimony?
Yes, you did. I used Mr. Jeffrey Drake Graphics.
Yes.
Under my direction, we put together some illustrations.
And Your Honor, could I, you all know what it is, could I argue this now?
If you want to, is there any objection?
Just the prior
Yeah, so same ruling, that may be admitted. Do you want to pass out those?
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah. This is copies of what was just introduced as the exhibit. It's just so you can kind of follow along with the testimony. At the end, you can ask to pass it back to the clerks. Mark that.
281.
Thank you.
All set?
Yes, I think so. Thank you. Now, Doctor, first of all, you made reference to Dawson Clancy, that you had a chance to review medical records and photographs and autopsy reports on Dawson Clancy?
Yes, on Dawson, Cora, and Callan.
All three, okay, three of the children.
Yes.
One of the questions that I have is that of the photographs, the autopsy photographs that you
Ray,
were,
could you want to take that? It might be just kind of confusing. The that's better. Then we can go back, we get back to the charts, we can do that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The autopsy photographs, did you have a chance to review those, Doctor?
Yes, I did.
And in your extensive experience, have you had a chance to see autopsy photographs of young children, infants, adults, people being examined prior to an autopsy and of course during an autopsy?
Oh, yes, many.
Now, my question simply is, did you notice on the autopsy photographs of the children what, let's say, have been referred to as bruises to this jury? Have you seen, are you aware of that testimony?
Yes, there were bruises consistent with active children jumping and running.
And how about medical treatment and procedure? Did you make any observations, in your opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to the cause? For example, on the infant's head, bruising on the head, what appears to be bruising.
Yes, on Callan, when he was in the hospital, and there are even photographs of him in the hospital, he had EKG or EEG, electroencephalogram, monitoring devices attached to his head so the doctors could follow his brain waves. And they are little round cup-like things, and so where they were attached, actually on both sides of his head, they did leave a small little brown kind of parallel mark, little lines there that were from medical treatment for monitoring his brain waves. He also had many puncture wounds and evidence of medical treatment in that way.
And did you also notice that there would appear to be on occasion fluid that might be mistaken for a bruise?
That's possible, yes. If there is some liquid fluid that's a little blood tinged, you could see it on the surface of the skin, and it would be something you could wipe off.
So, for example, doctor, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, on the photographs of the infant that show what you say were the couplet marks on the area of the skull, they don't come from anybody squeezing, beating, pushing, or causing any injury to that child, in your opinion. Is that correct?
No, absolutely not, no.
Doctor, you also had a chance to review the medical records of Lindsay Clancy when she went to the South Shore Hospital and then subsequently went to the Brigham Women's Hospital. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you don't have to get into detail. We've heard it a number of times, but there were injuries to her left wrist, her right wrist, her neck. Is that correct?
Yes, there were sharp force injuries to those areas.
And in your practice as a pathologist, have you had occasion over the years and over the many cases that you have had involvement with to observe self-inflicted wounds to a person's wrist or their neck in the course of a suicide attempt?
Many times.
And can you tell the jury, to your opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, as to the nature of these injuries, and are they consistent with somebody trying, in your opinion, trying to kill themselves?
Sustained.
So you would agree that there's an injury to the left wrist, injury to the right wrist, that's a sharp incised wound, is that correct?
Yes, they're cutting type wounds made by a sharp object such as a knife.
Okay. And how about the neck? Did that penetrate the fascia, or did that penetrate the skin? To what degree?
Yes, there were also linear, superficial incised wounds to her neck, and there were several of them, and one or two of them went deeper. There was bleeding also from the wounds on her wrist, and there were numerous attempts at cutting the skin, which we call hesitation marks, which are a classic finding in suicide attempts. And those incisions did cut in through the skin and cut blood vessels that were under the skin. And you can also tell from looking at the photos of Lindsay taken in the hospital when she was first admitted, and also when the photograph of the bedroom, her bedroom, you could see there was significant bloodshed event from those cutting injuries.
No. Did she also sustain an injury to her neck from your review of the medical records?
Yes.
Can you tell us what type of injury, and if we could, and if it assists the jury with you, you can make reference to the
pretty
pages
sure
of
the doctor was
the
really
little
careful.
report and the diagrams, page 4, 5, and 6, and tell us what we're looking at.
I'm gonna look it up.
Okay, let's see, so are we ready to look at number 4?
Sure, yep, start off with 4.
Okay, so,
Just so you know,
What
I
was-
think that's the first page that you have, so just,
yes, that's right, yes, page 4 is actually page
What?
1. Yes, so, what we have here is, to show you how, Lindsay was injured. And I got this from the scene photographs, from all her medical history, and my knowledge and training, understanding how injuries happen to the body. So if we look at the left-hand side of this panel, we see a depiction of the back side of the house, and the top window on the second floor is open. That's where she would have put her palms down on the windowsill and put her head out and precipitated down to fall on the hard frozen ground. During her fall head first, she had cuts on her wrists which were bleeding, and her coming head down on the side of that building would then transfer some of that blood onto the side of the building, which was found in the same photograph. She then hits really head first, and as her body descends that 13 or 14 feet. And if you look at the, so she really did a free fall dive head first. Then if you look on the right upper 2 diagrams that just show a skull, this illustrates the forces then that were applied to Lindsay's head from hitting the ground, and then her head bending a little bit. And what she got from that is what we call a characteristic burst fracture or a Jefferson fracture. And this is a fracture that we see with people who hit their head on, like if they've taken a dive into a swimming pool and they hit their head on the bottom. It's a classic finding in people who have energy applied to the falling head. And what it does is that it takes the first cervical vertebrae, which kind of looks like a donut, as you see up there in the middle, and it squashes it. The base of the skull then squashes that. And then like a donut, it kind of spreads it out. And she had 1, 2, 3, 4, so 6 or 7 fractures of that cervical vertebrae. Number 1, the ring of that. And the fractures I have pointed to there with arrows. So that is called the characteristic Jefferson fracture from hitting your head, the top of your head, in a dive first position. So you could also describe it as a bursting type fracture. But you don't get any spinal cord injury from that because the area, the hole in the middle is pretty big. So it just crushes down on the sides and fractures the ring around the spinal cord. So that tells me immediately that she landed head first and went down the window, went down head first. Then the energy is transmitted then from her head down her vertebral body, down the bony spine. And that then fractured and compressed C1, the lower right-hand panel there, puts that cervical vertebral body in the context of the rest of her skeleton. The left upper hand, we see her jaw, and then the C1 is pointed out there, and there are little springs there to indicate they were squashed and compressed together and fractured.
Now, looking at the next page, which would be 5, does that assist us in looking at the illustration of the injury to the spine?
Yeah, so this is after her head hits, so she hits her head first, Then there is some flexion of her body, and the energy from the impact is transmitted down her vertebral column. And what that did was it crushed the number of her thoracic vertebrae or vertebrae in the chest area, and actually made thoracic vertebral body T5 be compressed and move over the top of the lower vertebrae, and that is what injured her spinal cord. In the right-hand panel there, the yellow tube coming down is the spinal cord, and the T thoracic vertebral 5 and 6 is pictured there, and you can see that her whole spinal column was compressed and it moved forward and out of place, causing her spinal cord injury. There were also injuries that are indicated by little red stars there, and those are fractures of the transverse processes of the cervical vertebrae. So when they were compressed, the areas where the joints are between the vertebrae were compressed and fractured those transverse processes. So she had a bending injury, and she also had a right posterior rib injury. You can see on the left-hand panel, her shoulders are also hitting the ground, and that caused a fracture of the right first rib in the back, and the flexion of her neck also damaged her thyroid gland and some of her voice box cartilages.
And if we look at panel page 6, can you tell us what we're looking at there?
Yes, this is the final resting position of Lindsay's body. It's documenting all the materials I reviewed that are on the left-hand side. So she is lying down on hard, frozen ground. Her clothing is wet. She has on indoor clothing. The time that this occurred, it was dark and no sun. The temperature was in the low 30s, so she is going to be at risk of her body temperature going down, lying on that cold ground. In addition to, now that her thoracic chest spine is fractured, that has totally disrupted the thermal regulation of the bottom half of her body. So she is going to lose heat from the lower half of her body and to approach ambient temperature. So there she is lying there on the ground. Then if we go to the right side of that, this is a scene photograph showing the area where Lindsay's body landed. You can see on the right at the base area, there is some medical debris from the EMS emergency treatment. Then circled in or put in a red square is a little bit of snow that has some blood on it, which would correspond to her position lying down as we see it in the left-hand side there.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, then the last bit here is a X-ray of Lindsay, which was taken in early February after she had surgical stabilization of her fractured spine. So this is looking at the side of her, and you can see the hardware, which they look like little golf tees going to the left side. So this is the surgical metal hardware that was placed in her spine to open up and align her spine to try to preserve any function that was still available.
Now, doctor, when she went to the Brigham and Women's Hospital, were you reviewing the medical records and able to discern that she actually coded as a result of her injuries?
What?
Yes, she did. She was in spinal shock and hypothermia, and her heart did stop.
And did you observe that there were, and I quote, massive blood transfusions to treat her at Brigham and Women's?
Yeah, she lost a lot of blood around the muscles that hold the spine up because that was so damaged. So her hemoglobin and hematocrit and her red blood cell level was very low on admission.
And the final question I have, Doctor, is as it relates to the records, it showed that she had a core body temperature of 82 degrees as opposed to 98.6, which we're accustomed to. Can you tell the jury, in your opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, what does that mean and how did that happen? I mean, that's pretty low.
Yes, that is low. That's like, 16 degrees below normal. And so her low body temperature came from lying on the hard frozen ground, which would be 32 degrees frozen ground. She had wet clothing on, so wet clothing is going to transmit the body heat into the atmosphere quicker than dry clothing. It was indoor clothes. She didn't have a big parka on. There was no sun at that time to keep her body temperature up. The ambient or the air temperature was around 30 degrees. She has a thin body, and also, most importantly, because of that thoracic spinal cord transection, she lost the ability to control her body temperature below that level. So that means all her blood vessels just dilate and they just lose heat to the atmosphere.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Tree spray?
Dr. Laposata,
Yes,
you were head of the Rhode Island Office of the Chief Medical Examiner when it was cited for 10 violations and unsafe conditions, correct?
Yep.
yes, the unsafe condition was a light bulb out in a hallway, a computer in a hallway, and a few other minor things. I was very happy to have the safety inspection.
Right, those were the unsafe conditions, but there were also 10 other violations, correct?
They were minimal. I don't recall now. It was 20 years ago.
You didn't treat Ms. Clancy, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't examine her yourself, correct?
Correct.
Now, you talked about a Jefferson fracture and or a C1 burst fracture and how it can be from hitting the top of your head, correct?
Yes.
Isn't it also true that you can sustain a burst fracture by hitting the back of your head or the top of your shoulders as well?
No.
You say that she fell from 13 feet from the windowsill onto her head, the top of her head, correct? Onto the frozen ground?
Yes.
And you're saying that she fell with such force that she burst her C1 vertebrae and then broke other vertebrae in her back and broke ribs, correct?
Yes, just the force of a free-falling body. Yes.
Okay, but she had no injuries to her head, correct?
I'm sure she had bruising to her scalp under her hair.
You're sure?
She did not have a skull fracture.
Right, she didn't have a skull fracture, correct?
Yes.
She didn't have any cuts or things that needed sutures, correct?
She needed sutures in the cutting wounds on her wrist.
Well, we're talking about her head right now. She didn't need any sutures on her head, correct?
Correct.
She didn't have any large dents in her head, correct?
Large dents? What do you mean?
From hitting the frozen ground head first, there were no dents or bumps or sutures required on her head, correct?
Her scalp was intact. The forces were transmitted to C1.
So through her head.
A very common finding when you go head first and hit your head.
So hitting the frozen ground, the icy frozen ground, not a bump or scratch or scrape on her top of her head. And then within her head, there was no brain bleed. There was no hemorrhaging. There was no injury into her brain itself. Nothing showed up on the CT scans, correct?
Correct. Her brain was fine. Her skull was fine. I'm sure she probably had some scalp bruising under her hair.
You're sure because that goes along with what you're guessing at how the fall happened, correct? You can't be sure because
No.
you didn't see the head, correct? You say
No,
you're
I
sure,
can
but
be
you didn't see her head.
I saw the medical records and I examined all of those. I'm sure she had some bruise on the top of her head to the backside, as I showed in my diagram number 4. I'm sure there was some bruising on her scalp under her hair, but that was not a major concern at the time she was taken into the hospital.
You keep saying you're sure there were bruises, that you're sure that there was this or that that's not shown in any photographs or medical evidence. So you're not sure, are you? You're assuming.
No, I'm sure.
Okay. Let me show you some photographs here.
Excuse me. No,
No,
yes.
and let me show you. I'm asking the questions. Let me show you some photographs
okay, go
here.
ahead.
Let me show you some photographs of the defendant that were taken at the hospital of her head. Do we have sharing privileges on the computer? Showing you here photo of the top of the defendant's head. No
Yes, I see that.
cuts, no swelling, correct?
Oh, we just see her hair.
There's no blood on the white sheet, correct?
Wait, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you just asked me.
There's no blood on that very white sheet, correct?
Well, I don't see what's under her head, but that's not relevant to understanding that she did fall head first.
Okay, so you're saying she fell head first from 13 feet onto hard frozen ground and had no visible injuries to the exterior of her head.
Yes.
And
I'm
you're
sure
saying that
there was
she-
excuse me, I'm
It was a
sure
yes
there
or no
was some
question,
bruise.
Doctor.
Listen, hold on. Doctor, listen to the question, answer the question, and then we'll just go from there. Go ahead. Ms. Sprague, if you want, Ms. Sprague, if you want to re-ask that question.
Doctor, yes or no, she fell to the ground, frozen ground, and then had no apparent injury to the exterior of her head, correct?
Correct. As we
And
see there.
she fell head first to the frozen ground and not with enough force to break several vertebrae in her ribs, but did not have a skull fracture, a brain bleed, or anything else, any other type of injury to her head, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Move to put the photographs we were just showing into evidence.
Any objection? All right, they may be admitted.
1682.
Doctor, in your report that you provided to defense counsel, you also talked about the strangulation of the children, correct?
I did.
And in your report, you wrote that it would have taken 5 to 10 seconds for unconsciousness to occur, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you recall testifying previously in State of Rhode Island versus Kimberly Fry, case number W1/2010-0413A? Do you recall testifying previously in that case?
No, I don't.
Let me refresh your memory. It was a woman who had killed her 8-year-old daughter by asphyxia, and you testified.
Oh, yes, manual strangulation, yes.
Yeah, so ring a bell?
Yes.
Okay, and so you testified back in 2011 in that case, and you were asked, if you have a very complete compression, strike that, you were asked, unconsciousness due to oxygenation can occur within 10 to 20 seconds. And you said if you have a very complete compression of the blood vessels of the neck, you can become unconscious within 10 to 20 seconds. And then you were asked, I'm just saying hypothetically, just strangulation alone is 10 to 20 seconds. And you said if it is effectively and continuously applied, like in a lateral vascular neck restraint, most times there is a struggle going on, so you can't quite get that. So in that case there, you didn't testify that it was 5 to 10 seconds. You testified that it was 10 to 20 seconds, and that if there's any struggling, it could be longer, correct?
Yes, but that case was.
Well, that was a
different.
yes or no question.
It's not a yes or no question.
All right,
Defense can follow up.
hold on. She's answered the question, and then we'll have a redirect if counsel would like to.
Well, I don't remember
Hold on,
what
Doctor.
I said.
Why don't you, Doctor,
sorry.
wait for a question.
You were also
I'm
asked
sorry.
in that same trial, doctor, the question put to you in that trial was, but once that unconsciousness set in, you agree with me that there had to have been a consistent application of pressure, either suffocation, strangulation, or compressions of the chest for 2 to 3 more minutes continuously while the child was unconscious, correct? And you answered, I think that's a fair statement. And the question was, you said that before yourself, correct? And you answered yes. And then the question was, I'm asking your opinion. And you said, the question was, after Camden became unconscious, after 2 to 3 minutes of continuous application of one of those 3, and you answered correct. Is that right?
I have no memory of that. I'm sure you're reading it correctly.
Well, you have memory of your medical knowledge, correct?
Sure, I have memory of my medical knowledge.
And so at that point in time, in 2011, you testified that you would have to strangle someone 10 to 20 seconds at least to unconsciousness, and then you would have to continue to strangle them for 2 to 3 minutes for death to occur. And you said correct. Is that still your medical knowledge?
That's a different case. That was not ligature, that was a manual.
So either way, you're talking about the compression of the neck causing a loss of oxygen and blood, correct?
She's answered.
I'll allow this question. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are many ways that can occur, and the way the pressure is applied is very important in understanding how long it takes to become unconscious. These are the children here were the victims of what we call ligature strangulation. The Fry case that it's coming back to me a little now, that was a manual strangulation and also a body compression, which is a totally different type of asphyxia.
I mean, you were asked about that in that case, and you were asked, but once unconsciousness has set in, you agree with me that there has to be consistent application of pressure, either suffocation, strangulation, or compressions for 2 to 3 minutes more, and you answered correct. So not all 3, you said either one of those could cause death after 3 minutes, correct?
Yeah, just if you could rephrase that question.
You were asked, but once unconsciousness set in, you agree with me that there had to have been consistent application of pressure, either suffocation, strangulation, or compressions of the chest for 2 to 3 minutes more continuously while they're unconscious. And you said, I think that's a fair statement. So that's what you said, correct?
No, yes, in order to become dead, brain dead, you need the physiology is that you become unconscious within 5 to 10 seconds, and then you're unconscious, but that's not dead. Then that continued constriction of the blood flow has to be still continuously applied for the brain to die.
Correct. So
that is what happens, and that's what happened to the Clancy children. The ligatures were wrapped around, they went unconscious in 5 to 10, maybe 20 seconds, probably less than 20 seconds because it was a ligature, not a manual strangulation. So it was immediately compressed, unconsciousness within 10 seconds, and then death within 5 to 10 minutes after that.
with continuous pressure, around the neck.
Yes, because this is a ligature strangulation.
Thank you.
not manual.
Okay, so when you're talking about ligature strangulation as opposed to manual strangulation, tell us in your mind what that means.
Well, they're very, very different. Manual strangulation means that somebody's used their hand and they've pressed either side of the neck. Okay, that the hand is manual strangulation. Strangulation means that you have stopped the blood flow that comes out of your brain, and the carotid artery continues to pump oxygenated blood into your brain, but it can't drain out through the jugular veins. So with continuous pressure, then the blood can't get in because it can't flow out. It's kind of like stopping up a pipe. And then so you go unconscious within 5 to 10 seconds, but then with continued pressure, your brain dies. So the difference between manual and ligature is that manual can be kind of an off and on thing. You may you have a jugular vein on either side of your neck. So if you're using a hand, you might compress one greater than the other. You might let go. The person that you're trying to strangle may struggle and remove your hand a little bit. So it's a very different sequence of events to end up with brain death and asphyxia. Whereas wrapping a round loop resistance band, which is a ligature, immediately compresses those vessels. There's no coming off, there's no putting back on. So it's a very complete, one-time, immediate, non-varying compression with those exercise bands ligature, which causes unconsciousness effectively within 4 to 10 seconds.
4 to 10
And in
seconds.
reference to the manual strangulation, where generally somebody would use their hands and perhaps press with their thumbs, that has a very common, that you see many times, fracture of what's called the hyoid bone, correct?
Yes, that can happen. Absolutely. A little U-shaped bone up underneath the jaw. So they both cause, brain death from lack of oxygen to the brain, but the way they get there, that's leading up to that, is a totally different pathophysiologic process.
So when counsel went through the Rhode Island case, whatever that name was, and was reading from a transcript and asking you questions about the time that a person through manual strangulation, and then she made reference to suffocation, she made reference to strangulation, she made reference to compression of the chest. That has nothing to do, in your opinion, with the ligature strangulation. Is that correct?
It's a totally different mechanism of injury.
Thank you.
Right.
Doctor, as you said a few moments ago, the ligature causes unconsciousness, and then the pressure has to continuously be applied for several minutes to cause death, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Anything further?
One other question. On the ligature, doctor, we discussed this, is the ligature, does that require a person to stand over the body and continuously apply pressure to the ligature, or walk away leaving the ligature?
No, in this case, these were elastic round loops, like that were put around, somewhat tightly, pinching the skin. You could see little lines where the skin was pinched, and it just stays there. So it's a immediate compression of those jugular veins, staying there, and then death occurs minutes later.
Thank you.
Doctor, did you see these exercise bands?
Yes,
And you know that they're one long line with a handle on each end, correct?
right, and they're round, they're a cylinder.
Right,
They're
and
not like a flat band.
And you know they were wrapped around each child's neck and pulled to strangle them, correct?
Well, they were wrapped several times, firmly enough around the neck to close off the jugular veins.
And you're not aware, there's been no testimony, no evidence, nothing showing that they were knotted and left there, correct?
Uh-oh.
They weren't tied in a knot and left around their necks, according to any of the evidence, correct?
The important part to me was they were wrapped several times, and then whether it had a bow or a knot would not really be important. It was secure and wrapped around the neck several times. Yeah, I can tell that from the appearance of the skin on the neck.
These are facts, not in evidence. And the bow, there was a bow. Wow. Now we're speculating. We're adding facts. Wow.
Doctor, wrapped around the child's neck several times and then left there. I guess you can't see it from where you are, but it just fell apart. It didn't stay in a circle.
Yeah, I sort of saw what you did, so.
What was that?
I said, I saw that.
You saw it. So it was left there and it fell apart, correct?
Yeah, what you just did, sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you, doctor.
Wow.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor.
I was going to see you just for a second.
Yeah. Wow. This is wild. How can she just say that it was tied in a bow? Where was the testimony that it was tied in a bow?
Short break to take the equipment down. It took us hours to get it up. Hopefully it'll take us about 5 minutes to take it down. I'm just going to ask you a very quick break, and we'll bring it right back in. We'll call the next witness. Okay?
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And I would call it, if she says that, then that's going to be that Patrick, that she, in some of the testimony at the beginning where Patrick said it was tied, but not tied like by the shoestrings, like the bow part. And then I would call to have her testimony stricken from the record. Because that's what she's inferring. I would have a problem with that.
Quorum, this court's in session. Please be seated.
All right. So we'll be in, I know we always say it, but we'll be in a short recess. Come soon as we can get the equipment
He's
down.
such a dirt.
We'll come right back out. We'll take the next witness. Okay?
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Wow. It's tied in a bow or a knot. So did you interview Patrick also? Shady dealings. Shady dealings. It's amazing what the Commonwealth get away with. Oh my God. An Ohio teen was taken into custody in connection with a fatal shooting of her mother after two men allegedly entered her home and opened fire, then shot at her father when he tried to provide medical aid. The charges come after authorities reportedly uncovered deleted text messages that appeared to reveal the planning of the shooting. Investigators said the teen repeatedly lied in an attempt to hinder the capture of the two other suspects, her boyfriend and his roommate, and said she stated during the interview that her parents didn't know her boyfriend because they were very racist. Oh my God. Oh, what is with kids killing their parents and parents killing their kids? Like, what is going on? Oh my God, you ought to see these English bulldog puppies. They're so cute. A mother is accused of purposely placing her 1-month-old son in scalding hot water, leaving the baby with severe burns.
return back to the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. All parties are present excluding the jury.
All right. Counsel, we ready for the jury?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
All rise, please, your center. Court is back to session. You may be seated.
This is the record. We return back to the trial. Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. All parties are present excluding the defendant and including the 18 jurors.
All right. Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Call Dr. Paul Zeizel, please.
What happened is you saw this sort of testimony that you should get the jury, and then you're having the Commonwealth and the defendant. Should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. Okay, so you may have a seat.
All right. Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Reddington.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. Tell us your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Good afternoon. Paul Zeizel, Zeizel.
And what do you do for work, sir?
I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist.
And briefly, what's the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist?
A psychiatrist goes to 4 years of medical school and does a residency in a specific field in medicine. A psychologist goes to graduate school, generally 4 years, and gets a PhD or a PsyD, Doctor of Psychology, in psychology. The difference in terms of clinical practice, psychologists are trained very extensively in counseling, testing, interpretation of testing, and that then continues to various treatment modalities, working with children, adolescents, couples, families, and it can extend beyond that. Neuropsych testing, issues of guardianship, child custody cases, and there are many variants in that. So psychologists are in the domain of treatment, testing, and evaluation of mental health conditions.
Can psychologists prescribe medication?
Generally, no, but the Department of Defense will allow psychologists in the military and overseas to sometimes prescribe medication, but 99% of psychologists do not have prescription privileges.
As far as the testing that you referenced, what is it you referring to regarding testing?
So there's testing across various domains. If a person comes in with, let's say, concerns about intellectual functioning for a child, they would have a perhaps school psychologist or educational psychologist who would do testing on cognitive levels of functioning, or neuropsych testing, or testing that deals with issues of ADD, attention deficit disorder, or ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. There's other testing that would include, for example, forensic testing. That's the integration of mental health and the law. That requires a psychologist to know about the different types of forensic testing issues that might be there. So this would often be things that would be pertaining to deception, malingering, personality assessment, and sometimes sociopathy, or what's known in the DSM-5-TR, which you've heard about, antisocial personality disorder. In addition, as I briefly mentioned, guardianship, conservatorship, custody issues with parenting, risk assessments for certain jobs that individuals might have, working for government and top secret positions, police officers, military as well.
So, for example, some of the testing, what is the MMPI?
So, yes, it's called the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, and there are various iterations. There's MMPI 3, there's the RF. Some are focused on forensic assessment. It is a test that is been around since the 1940s, that was originally used to determine a sample size of white men going into the military who would be good leaders. Today, the sample is based on a much more diversified population, including women and different racial ethnicities, and it's divided into two parts. One part has what we call a validity and reliability scale and a lie scale. Validity.
The lie scale, is that also referred to as a K scale?
Yes, it could be considered part of the K scale, and it's whether someone is being dishonest with the test, but it will change slightly because people on some tests, psychological tests, will want to come across as faking good. Some people will want to come across as faking bad. Faking good would be a mother whose children were taken away. She would like to get them back, so she wants to come across as the healthiest person there is. Conversely, faking bad is someone seeking a, let's say, a workman's compensation claim, and they may have a tendency to exaggerate the nature of their injuries.
So in this case, for example, forget about workman's comp, let's talk about a murder charge. If a defendant
A murder
submits
charge.
to a psychological test, such as the MMPI, and the interpretation by a psychologist of the results of that test, if the person wanted to pretend that they were suffering from a disease or defect, would that test ostensibly be able to tell the psychologist that?
Yes.
Was an MMPI administered by the government's doctors on this case to Lindsay?
Yes.
Did that have a K scale as to whether or not she was lying or exaggerating, malingering, or trying to fake that she had some disease or defect?
Yes, it had a K scale.
And what were the results of the government's doctors' tests on the Minnesota multiphasic personality as it relates to the K scale?
Yeah, can I see counsel over here?
So, doctor, let me just, as we say, lead you a little bit. Yes or no answers would be fine. Were you aware that a test was administered by the government's doctor, I think it was Dr. Helbrin, to Lindsay Clancy in the course of the government's evaluation?
Yes.
And did you consider the results in the interpretation of that test
He's not.
as part of your opinion for this jury?
Yes.
And to that extent, as you discuss whether or not somebody is faking or somebody is exaggerating, do you have an opinion based upon your review of the discovery in the case to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to whether or not Lindsay Clancy, in the course of that evaluation, was malingering or lying or exaggerating?
Yes, I do.
Tell the jury.
My opinion in the testing of Ms. Clancy regarding the MMPI was that
Just the doctor, your opinion, doctor.
she was not faking. There was no evidence of any malingering. She presented as an honest citizen.
Okay. Now, regarding your background, I may have jumped the gun. Tell us briefly what your educational background is.
I have a bachelor's degree from Queens College. I have a master's degree from Harvard University and a doctorate in clinical psychology from William James College.
And your career spans how many years, sir?
I've been licensed for 37 years.
And would you consider yourself to be a forensic psychologist?
Yes, I do.
And as you indicated, that's the interface between medicine and law. Is that correct? Forensic?
And mental health and law, yes.
Mental health and law, okay. In this case, your experience obviously is something somebody has to evaluate. Can you tell us your history as a psychologist? In other words, your experience that you've had in the field.
Yes. Well, in the field, as a forensic psychologist, been involved in over 1,000 cases, testifying for both the Commonwealth as well as for Respondents' Counsel. I testify more for respondents or defendants these days. I've been qualified in every court in the Commonwealth with the exception of Nantucket because I've not done any cases in Nantucket County. I have a small private practice. I have done work with governmental agencies, a psychologist for the DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, and I've worked as a federal contractor, as a vendor overseas for the State Department in Afghanistan.
How long were you in Afghanistan?
I was in Afghanistan from November 2007 to roughly mid-February 2011.
So for that 4-year period while you were in Afghanistan, what was the nature of your work?
The nature of my work was basically the equivalent through the military, the analogies with the military as a combat psychologist. I was embedded in the field. I would do evaluations, what we call critical incident debriefings, and when there would be multinational forces, and in Afghanistan it was the ISAF coalition, International Security Assistance Forces. That would be countries that were deployed over there: England, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Portugal, Romania, Bulgaria, Australia, New Zealand, a total of 38 countries. I could go on, but I'm not going to. And I would be loaned to various countries in different parts of the country to do debriefings after a critical incident, which would be what's called a TIC, T-I-C, troops in combat. I'd fly out, usually on a helicopter, do the debriefings of the people who survived those attacks, engaged in those attacks, and ensure that they were stable enough to continue and, if you will, fit for duty. I would also do evaluations on violence assessments, individuals who had problems maintaining their ability to function safely in a war zone where everyone carries at least one weapon, usually two, to ensure that they were able to be healthy for their work. And I would do various types of training and debriefing. I was also loaned out to other governmental agencies the U.S. Marshals, the FBI, the CIA, and with each of those agencies, there would be various issues that were necessary. People getting hurt, people killing individuals who attack them. And when that occurs, as one would imagine, there's great trauma that goes with that. And these people were not necessarily negatively impacted in the moment, but we would make sure that they were healthy enough to continue their work. If need be, if they were psychologically impaired, I would be involved in helping get them sent over back to Europe, to Longitudinal, Germany, sometimes to Dubai, and help with individuals who suffered themselves with issues back in the United States. So I would have to do death notifications with the military. I would help with issues of conflict with other soldiers and contractors and agencies, dealing with all the issues that one might expect could come up in various parts of a war zone. I was often sent to what are called FOBs. Those are forward observation bases, generally about 100 people, more or less, in those bases, multi-international. And I was also sent to COPs, COPs, combat outposts, very remote, in the middle of nowhere, on mountainsides where you walk up goat trails just to get to where your small bases. And the billets were often cots and tents that were erected on rocks and no electricity, quite remote. And I was on many dismounted patrols with the belief that having a psychologist or someone psychologically trained to deal with what it's like to be in a war zone would be therapeutic, if not therapeutic, explainable, and helpful. I did many of those events.
At some point, did I ask you to become involved to some degree in this case, Doctor?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury when that was?
I received a phone call from Attorney Reddington late in the evening on February 3rd, 2023. It was late because I was already in bed sleeping. The phone rang. It was about 11:30.
And without getting into the details, did I advise you that I was representing a young woman by the name of Lindsay Clancy and that she was severely injured and she was in a hospital?
Yes.
As a result of that, what did you do?
That next morning, I went to Brigham Women's Hospital.
That next morning,
Went to the front desk where one would normally check in. And there was a woman there who I felt was a volunteer. I explained who I was. I explained that I was asked by Attorney Reddington to evaluate Ms. Clancy on the surgical ICU unit.
Were you able to access her to speak to her?
Eventually, yes.
And when you say eventually, what's the time frame we're talking?
I was initially told I couldn't go. I had to wait 30 minutes. Attorney Reddington called the chief counsel of the hospital to enable me to have access to the unit where Ms. Clancy was staying.
When was it that you were able to get into the unit to see her?
12:30 in the afternoon.
What day?
February 4th.
So it would be January 24th, 7, so this is almost
11 days
later, right?
Yes.
You're also aware that I needed a court order to get you into the hospital.
That's correct.
And were you able to ultimately get in the hospital, go to the surgical unit, and meet with Lindsay?
Yes.
Jurors have had a chance to look at photographs of her laying in the bed with tubes and wires and all of that. Is that what she looked like when you first saw her?
Yes. However, she was also, with her right arm, as I recall, shackled to the bed with handcuffs.
So they're not little soft little things that tie her hands to the side of the bed, but they're handcuffs?
They weren't soft. They were regular, but appeared to be metal handcuffs that police officers and perhaps officers in this court use for detaining people and arresting people.
So
They were not soft.
while she's laying in the bed, did she have the tubes and the wires for
Oh,
treatment
he's
in the
gonna play this
emergency,
up.
the intensive care unit, I should say?
Yes,
Was she intubated at that point, if you recall?
she was not.
So she was able to speak.
Yes,
Was she able to move obviously she's chained to the bed, so she couldn't get up.
she could not get up. She couldn't move below her sternum, the chest bone.
At that point, had you and I met and talked about this case at all?
No,
What was the reason I asked you to go to the hospital?
you are worried about her mental health, given the significant event that had just taken place a few days earlier. You were concerned that she had absolutely no ability to have visitors. Visitors were not permitted to meet with her, from family members to
Most people
friends
tell their kids, "Don't
to
get
a priest. No one was able to see her.
So as a result of that conversation we had, you went to the hospital, went into her room, and you were able to speak to her. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell the jurors, if you recall, what type of law
I just think she gets special treatment.
guns, stuff like that?
Most people,
I noticed
don't get
literally outside of her hospital room were two state troopers in their blue uniforms, sitting each in a chair on either side of the doorway to Ms. Clancy's room, with a nurse sitting in the corner of her room.
When you went in to see her on that date, was it your understanding she had recently been extubated? In other words, they removed the tube from her mouth?
Yes.
And do you recall the conversation that you had with Lindsay at that time?
Yes, I did.
Tell the jurors what your memory is.
The conversation I had with Ms. Clancy at that time was one where I asked if she knew where she was. So I did what's called a mental status exam, a brief mental status exam. It's orientation to time, place, location. She didn't know where she was, wasn't quite sure what time it was. She knew who she was. And she told me that she remembers what happened, but it was very fuzzy and foggy. At the time, she had been on medication for the significant pain post-surgery while in that hospital room.
And during the course of that interview with her, did she express any concern to you about her husband, Patrick?
Yes, she did.
Tell the jurors what she indicated to you.
She said, since 11 days prior to my meeting with her, which would have been January 24th, 2023, she had no contact with Patrick. She wanted to know how he was doing. She wanted to know if she could call him and find out where things are with her and with him and how he was faring, and to just speak with him.
She
Where's the
expressed
car with
concern
them?
about her family.
Yes, she did.
Did she express concern about what had happened?
Yes.
Did she ask you, or did you offer to her the ability to speak to her husband, Patrick?
She asked me if she could use my cell phone to call her husband.
Did she do that?
Yes, she did.
Did you hear the conversation?
Yes, I told her we'd call. It would have to be on speakerphone.
And tell us about that conversation.
So that first phone call, I believe on the 24th, he did not pick up. She left a message. I did not leave a message. We then called back 2 days later on the 6th.
And after the 2 days had transpired and the call was made on the 6th, did she have a chance to talk to Patrick?
Yes.
Were you there?
Yes.
Was she still chained to the bed?
Yes.
Were the cops still outside the room?
Yes, not in blues. They were in civilian clothing, jeans, flannel shirts.
And tell us what she said to Patrick in your presence on the speakerphone at that point.
She had told Patrick that she loved him very much. She was unable to express a lot of emotion, but she expressed love for him. And she had said that she heard a male voice ordering her, telling her that she didn't have any choice, but she had to kill her children and then kill herself.
Now, doctor, have in mind your background, your career, Did you tell Lindsay Clancy to lie or make that up and pretend that she was hearing voices?
No.
Did you have any conversation or any suggestions to her at all that she should say she heard voices or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
Why did you let her call her husband on your cell phone?
I let her call her husband out of human compassion.
As time went by, did I then, oh, by the way, you've testified for me on other matters, have you not?
Yes.
We go back about 20 years
Yes.
and we socialized together?
Yes.
So we're friends.
Yes.
And as you worked on the case, can you tell the jurors what information you had access to that would allow you to continue with your investigation as a psychologist?
I had access to her clinical records. Many of that were discussed here. Emergency room records, grand jury minutes. With the longitudinal nature of my evaluation, I had records from Brigham and Women's, South Shore, Spalding Hospital, and most recently, Tewksbury Hospital, which go back to, I believe, March 27th or so, 2023 till today.
How many times have you seen Lindsay since that day in January of 24?
So I've met with 2023. I've met with Ms. Clancy over 45 times since then. And that was at the writing and the issuance of my report to Attorney Reddington. That was in the middle of June. And I've seen Ms. Clancy since then 20 times probably, or 15, inclusive of being in this courtroom and sometimes meeting with her in the holding unit.
And you've had occasion to visit with her in Tewksbury Hospital many of those times, right?
Yes.
And you've had occasion to visit with her in the lockup to this courthouse, correct?
Yes.
And she's been treated very well by everybody, the court officers, everybody, is that correct?
Right. What does that have to, what's the relevance of that?
You've had a chance to see her in the lockup, right?
Yes.
Why would
Why?
you see her in the lockup?
I would see Lindsay Clancy in lockup because the nature of presentation in this court has been gut-wrenching for anyone who would be exposed to such horrific.
She did it. Objection. I would have a problem with
Can I
that.
see counsel again?
Yeah,
I'll withdraw it.
All right, so that answer, Ladies and gentlemen, that answer is stricken.
right.
In Tewksbury Hospital, have you had to see her to evaluate her in addition to your testimony for a jury?
Yes.
Why?
Because the nature of mental health is something that's not a static or what we consider historical piece of information. Static information means a date of birth. That's never going to change. Dynamic issues are things that are subject to change, like the weather, like your health, like your mood. So to do an evaluation for a case that Ms. Clancy's involved in, which is a triple homicide case, requires an examiner to ensure that she's competent to stand trial and that her mental health is stable enough to be able to go forward with court proceedings.
Oh,
Is there an additional component, and has there been an additional component of her suicidal ideation since she's been
oh,
investigated in
objection.
the Women's and then of course transferred years ago to Tewksbury?
Objection. You can't do
I
this.
see counsel.
This. He's trying to put some shit in this. See, this is why it's conflict of interest to have this psychiatrist is not unbiased. He wants Reddington to win, and so he's going to sway his opinion towards Reddington and do whatever he can to help Lindsay. This all his shit should be stricken. Oh my God. This dude is low. Wow. They go back 20 years and they're friends. And I don't trust now that he didn't tell her. And the thing is it's doctor-patient confidentiality. So you can't, holy shit, this is wrong. Hi, baby.
So, doctor, while you're evaluating her, whether it be in Tewksbury or you're visiting with her here, her present state of mind is always an interest to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in addition to all of the police reports, grand jury minutes, photographs, and things that you've described for us, sir, have you also had occasion to review all of the medical records without going through every one of them, dealing with Jennifer Tufts, Gelada, drugs that were prescribed to her, et cetera?
Yes.
Were you able to take a family history and a school history from Lindsay?
Yes.
Were you able to take a medical history from Lindsay?
Yes.
Were you concerned about her status as a woman who had recently had a child, Callan, in the spring of 2022?
Yes.
And what time frame was it that you were focusing on for purposes of your evaluation as to her mental state after having Kellen, when she was postpartum?
The time frame started in
You can turn.
roughly September 2022 through January 2023.
And during that period of time, you were aware that she had certain symptomology. Again, we could go through every single one of them, or we can just say, yes, she did express that she had symptomology. Jury's heard the evidence up to this point.
Yes, many times
And
to
did she
many
see
to other
doctors?
people.
Did she see doctors?
Yes,
Dr. Tufts?
yes,
Was that the first time that she was expressing anxiety and her concerns about insomnia, and that she went to see Dr. Tufts and she was prescribed the SSRI?
yes.
July, June, August of 2022. What was her mood at that point?
Her mood was waxing and waning at times, but struggling as well in common sense ways. Having 3 children, ages 5 and under, not an easy task.
So in the fall of 2022, when she went to see Dr. Tufts, that's when she was prescribed the first SSRI.
Zoloft, yes.
And that would, and again, when she had the second baby, that would be Dawson.
Yes.
Did she have also indicia, symptomology of anxiety and the symptoms that she had described that she required, she had to be placed on some medication?
Yes, she did.
What was that medication?
I believe that was trazodone, if I'm not mistaken.
When she was in nursing school, prior to that, was she placed on medication?
Yes, she was.
And that was because of public speaking nerves. What was the medication?
There were multiple medications. I believe it was propranolol, and I believe it may have been trazodone and Wellbutrin, but I'm not totally positive of that.
Do you recall that she was prescribed an SSRI when she was in nursing school?
Yes,
What was that?
that was Zoloft.
When she saw Dr. Tufts and she took the Zoloft, it was 25 milligrams initially. Is that correct?
Yes,
Was it increased?
it was increased to 50 milligrams sometime later.
And
Yes.
how did she react to that?
She didn't take the medication initially. She waited a few weeks until she started on the lower dose.
So my question was, how did she react to the increase in the Zoloft?
Poorly.
What does that mean?
It was not a therapeutic uplift for her. She didn't do well. She didn't feel better. By all reports from Ms. Clancy, she did not get better.
How about sleeping? Did she have any complaints about sleeping?
Yes,
What was that?
her insomnia got worse with the passage of time.
As September turned into October, it turns into November, around the time of Thanksgiving. Had she continued to seek help from medical health care providers?
Yes,
Answer is yes.
yes.
Oh my
Who did
God.
she seek to get help from?
Are you testifying?
Well, the initial person, I believe, was her mother-in-law, Sue Clancy, and who was a labor and delivery nurse who knew
Who
people.
did she see as a result of Sue Clancy?
I believe it was Julie Paul initially.
And what group was she affiliated with?
South Shore Perinatal Health.
Did Ms. Paul, nurse practitioner Paul, prescribe medication for her?
Yes,
And did she continue to deal with South Shore perinatal?
yes,
When, at some point, did she stop dealing shortly, a short period of time, with nurse practitioner Paul?
yes. Nurse
But-
Paul left.
And why was that?
She got a transferred position. It had nothing to do with her patient load or
So she was transferred.
she was transferred.
Okay.
Yes.
So as a short period of time, she was transferred. Who was the next person that she dealt with?
Rebecca Gelada.
Did Rebecca Gelada have a particular position? Was she a nurse practitioner?
This is almost
Yes.
like her.
How long did she deal with Rebecca Gelada?
3 appointments.
And during that period of time with Rebecca Gelada, was she prescribed medication?
Yes,
What was the medication?
I believe it was Seroquel.
How did she react to that?
Poorly.
And as time went by, going into the holiday season, Thanksgiving, do you recall what her symptomology and complaints were to the healthcare providers at that point, whether it be Tufts or Gelada, anybody?
Yes.
What were they?
She had many concerns about her health. She wasn't feeling well. She felt out of touch with herself. She felt numb. She experienced disassociation.
All right, stop right there. What is disassociation?
Disassociation is a psychological construct that means you feel removed from your body. You don't feel in touch with your body. You feel different than the way you normally do. You look back at your life and you say, something is wrong with me. I'm not feeling the way I normally do.
Did she express, for example, when the jurors looked at the medical records on November 27th of 2022 to
This is
nurse
the
practitioner Laposata, that she felt that she was out of her body and that she had a disassociated state?
Yes, and that's sometimes known as a depersonalization. You feel removed from your body. You feel removed. You feel as if you are not in your full body.
Now, at that time, was she also complaining of other symptoms? And to cut to the chase, was she saying that she could not emote, she couldn't feel love, she couldn't feel happiness, she felt heavy?
Yeah.
Why are we repeating this with
She had
every
difficulty
person?
relating to people. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. She couldn't get out of the bed. She had total flattened affect.
Did she then seek additional help?
Yes.
Where?
She went to the, I believe, the emergency room initially at South Shore to go to Mass General.
And did they prescribe additional medication for her?
I believe they did, yes.
Did she make any expressions to her treating physicians up to this point about what in her opinion, what the medications were doing to her?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said she was in a brain fog. The medications were making things worse. They were not helping. They were not helping her.
Okay.
Well, as that time went on into the period of Thanksgiving up to around Christmas, did she continue to reach out to people for help, such as suicide hotlines?
Yes, she reached out to,
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Why did she call a suicide hotline?
she was worried about killing herself.
And did she get any help from the suicide hotline?
She was turned away.
How about the second time she called the suicide hotline?
She was turned away.
How about when she went to the Women and Infants program in Rhode Island?
They told her she was not a good fit for the program.
Why?
Because she was overly medicated.
And did she continue to seek help from healthcare providers?
Yes.
And what was the next thing that happened as far as dealing with healthcare providers for
You were just-
Lindsay in her postpartum stage?
She went to the Mass General emergency room.
I guess.
What happened there?
Matthew.
On 12:30, she said she needed to go to the hospital. She was at the emergency room. She was sent to McLean Hospital in Belmont. It's a Harvard-affiliated hospital.
Now that McLean Hospital, when you say was sent to, they're to say that even though they had to transport her, it was a voluntary commitment?
Yes.
And what was her state of mind that caused her to have a voluntary commitment to the locked wards of McLean Hospital?
She was worried about killing herself, and she uttered concerns about killing her children.
And
How about, did she relate any intrusive thoughts, dark thoughts, things of that nature during this period of time, October, November, December?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
She said she had, quote, horrible thoughts, unquote. She felt that people could actually hear her thoughts. The thoughts were so loud that strangers could hear them.
Did
Sometimes.
she express at that point, for example, that she was concerned about the school teachers with the Little Sprouts school with the kids, that they could read her thoughts and that she would lose custody?
Yes, it's called ideas of reference. You believe other people can hear what you're thinking, and that can have a very negative interpretation for the person believing that, feeling that, and thinking that the outcome is going to be a negative one, that their children may be relieved from their care.
Now, as it relates to the concept of a psychosis, can you tell me in 25 words?
He admitted to life for
A psychosis is what's considered a major mental health disorder. It's when people have disorganized thinking, and the symptoms most typically are hallucinations. There are different types of hallucinations. 80% of people with psychoses hear voices. There are different types of voices that one can hear. Benign, get a glass of water. Benevolent, you're a good person, keep it up. Or malevolent, threatening them, telling them ordering them to do something horrible, and you believe those voices.
During that period of time, when she got out of the McLean Hospital, what medication was she titrating or getting off of?
I believe she's getting off the Seroquel.
Was she able to do that?
Yes.
Relating back to November 27th with the dissociative state, is that an indicia, is that an indication or a harbinger of psychosis?
Yes.
And is a psychosis, is that something that somebody would be suffering from a psychosis for a month at a time, 2 months at a time, or is that short periods, or how does that work?
People with psychoses have intermittent symptoms.
So how
They
long?
can function fine one day, and the next day they can be hearing voices. They could be seeing things, feeling things, smelling things. To be clear, those additional types of hallucinations did not plague Ms. Clancy. She only had auditory hallucinations, but hallucinations are like the waves at the beach. They come and go.
So she was able to kill her kid
Yes.
and in the middle of it, make a phone call and talk normally to her husband,
Individual, and we refer to postpartum.
just so everybody knows.
That's a particular affliction that afflicts women that have had babies, and they go through a period of postpartum depression and ultimately postpartum psychosis.
Yes.
Can you tell us, is a person, even if they are in the throes of psychosis, are they able to make a phone call?
Schizophrenia.
Yes, they can.
Are they able to drive a car?
Yes.
Are they able to say, hi, how are you? I'd like to have a hot dog?
Yes.
Oh,
They don't have to look at the unicorn in the corner, right?
That's correct.
so that's how he's getting away with
Just rank this
the
4
phone
o'clock.
call
Just
in
a
the
good
middle
time to-
Sure.
killing the children.
All right. So, members of the jury, we're going to recess until tomorrow morning.
Oh my God.
I would expect our schedule tomorrow will be similar to the schedule we had today,
So
hopefully without the technology issues. And I'm just going to remind everybody,
he's able to
the
kill
same
his kid
instructions.
as she walks up the stairs.
Don't read anything about this case, or similar cases,
Telling
don't
him
talk about it,
conversation.
don't listen to
Then
anything,
walk up the stairs, split her wrist,
keep an open
do all
mind,
this
go home,
shit
have
like
a
normal,
nice evening,
and then
see you
jump out
tomorrow morning. at
and
9
that's the psychosis.
All rise, please, jurors exit.
Whatever. Right. Exactly. This right here, right? I don't know how this guy's testimony is not conflict of interest. He knows him for 20 years. They're friends.
Dr. Fuller, you may sit down.
I hesitate to ask, can you approach?
All right.
Moving the bulldog? No. No. I don't know who you're talking about. I just find this last part so hard to believe. Yeah. I'll have to look it up. So tomorrow I won't be streaming live because I have appointments tomorrow that I have to do. So I'm gonna miss this cross, which probably will be great. So I'll have to do a makeup stream of watching it. Oh, I know. This guy is throwing all kinds of shit in that is baffling to me. But that's what I said. They had Laposata on. And she was on the Karen Reed trial. As soon as I seen her, I was like, is she on the Karen Reed trial? Or wasn't she on the Karen Reed trial? And I thought she was flaky on the Karen Reed trial too. So he brought her on this one. I was just like, oh. But defense did a good job of crossing her. But anyway, I'll be back Thursday and Friday. So I'll do a makeup. Unless, like, I don't know how many more people he's gonna have on. I don't know how many more people he can bring on to repeat Groundhog Day. Oh, cool. Good luck. I hope you get it. But so tomorrow I won't be on, but Thursday and Friday I will be. And then I'll try to do a makeup on this because I really want to see how prosecutors cross this guy. If I don't do a makeup, I'll just do clips of it. But I know that they're going to have rebuttal for, they're probably going to have rebuttal for Laposata. You're welcome. But so they're going to, I don't know how many more people he's going to have, but I'm sure his defense is going to be short. And then they're going to have rebuttal. I don't think it's even going to go 6 weeks. They said 6 to 8 weeks. I don't even think it's going to go 6 weeks. Because I mean, how do you just keep doing Groundhog Day? I mean, it's nuts. He just keeps repeating the same thing and misrepresenting the facts. It's crazy to me. But like I say, the Commonwealth states are crazy, the shit that they allow to happen. Like a lot of this shit would not fly in a lot of places. But in the Commonwealth, you're allowed to do a lot of crazy shit. I seen shit in the Karen Reed trial that I was like, wait, what? Like, what? But they have their own way of doing things, I guess. Just 8 weeks, honestly, it's an open and check it. Right. That's why I don't even know. I don't even understand how they brought this on trial, honestly. I mean, you have to have a trial because it's 3 charges of first-degree murder, but and his whole thing is like she should have gotten some special treatment. Like you killed 3 people. You don't get special treatment. Like any other person would have not got special treatment. She did it, yeah, and she's guilty. Right, exactly. Crazy or not, mentally unstable or not. I mean, even look at Lori Daybell, right? In the Daybell case. Oh, what happened? Look at Lori Daybell in the Daybell case and all that shit. You don't get, I guess they just quit. But in the Daybell case and all that shit, you don't get special treatment. You kill your kids, and no matter how, and she was nuts. And you don't get special treatment. That's just not how it works. Right. And that was the thing too, is that he said at the very end of the morning show is that because the prosecutor really went at their psychiatrist did anybody report it? Like, right? And she walked out of the clinic and she never said, she had one time that she said, and that was after talking to this guy that was just on the stand right now. And so then he got up because he got all flustered with it. And he got up and he said, would there be a reason that people wouldn't tell their psychiatrist the truth? And that she was a labor and delivery nurse. Couldn't she lose her license and her kids would be taken away? So he just blew up his own civil case. Right, cameraman's like, that's enough. So, so yeah, so it's crazy to me that like at the very end he was like just so mad that he was like, so then the psychiatrist said, yeah, people are not honest. You want them to be honest, but they're not honest with their psychiatrist or psychologist all the time. And yeah, she could have lost her license, possibly had the kids taken away. And so I kind of lost it and said the wrong thing. I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for it, but I was like, so you killed your kids instead? Instead of getting them taken away, you killed them instead? Or instead of like giving them to the father and taking a break? I don't know. Like there's so many more options you could have done. So I'm sure I'll get hate for that because I get hate for any of my comments, you know, of being rational. Right. And so that blows up because now you put it back on her. She didn't tell the truth. So if she's not telling the truth to the doctors, then that's not malpractice, right? Because now all the malpractice lawyers that they're all named in that civil are going to like pull that clip. There you go. You just lost your civil case. So stupid. I'm trying to go to the back, right? I was trying. Right? So, you know, and then that she was a labor and delivery nurse, so she didn't want to lose her license, you know? So that's another factor, right? So you're not telling the doctors that you're hearing voices and all this stuff the whole time, not just that one time. Come on now, you know? I don't know. So now it's the whole time. So it's the whole time since October that she was hearing voices, which was never stated. It was never stated. So those facts aren't in evidence. There's no text, there's no nothing, no doctor was told, nothing. So now, you know, in the 11th hour, she was hearing voices all the time. No way to prove it, just her stating it through her lawyer. She didn't even tell her mom. She didn't tell her sister. She didn't tell nobody. Right. And this is the thing too, is now if you were hearing voices the whole time and all this stuff, then why did you leave the hospital? Why did you only stay for 4 days or so? He keeps repeating that she was only in it for 4 days or so. Then why did you leave? If you really wanted help, he keeps saying she was trying to get help. She was asking for help. She was begging for help. Then why did you leave the hospital? This is the thing too, is that he keeps saying that the doctors only gave her like, well, if you are going to, like after this call or tonight or over the weekend or whatever, call 911 or here's a suicide hotline, blah, 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 all that stuff. He acts like that's a problem for those doctors to do that. Well, the doctors don't go home with her. The doctors aren't available 24/7. The doctors aren't like, they're giving her resources to do. What did he expect the doctors to do at that point? Like, here's like, did he really want the doctors to like force her into a psychiatric ward? Is that what he's saying that should have happened, is force her into a psychiatric ward? Right, right. And that's the thing too, is like they were trying to figure out the medication, trying to figure out what would work for her, but she wasn't taking it like she was supposed to. She wouldn't wait for it to happen. Every time she took a new one, if she felt anything from it, well, I'm not taking it. And like she was taking the one pill, I don't remember what it was, but she was taking the one pill and it was like she was taking it for 2 weeks and already she was addicted to it. The Ativan. She was taking the Ativan and she was addicted to it. Like she just had these weird like thought processes around it. Yeah, and at any point he could have 151'd her. If he, I mean, if somebody told me that they were going to kill, that they had thoughts of harming my children, I would 151 them. I mean, come on. He should have. Well, and that's the thing too, is the mother testified this morning that she was told that she had thoughts of harming the children. Why didn't the mother call? She's a nurse. So no, the mother, Avon maybe. No, she was a nurse maybe. I don't, she's either nurse or Avon. I don't remember which is which. The mother-in-law's the nurse. The mother was Avon. Or no, Weight Watchers, Avon, Weight Watchers, whatever, same bullshit. But why didn't she call? Why didn't she tell Patrick to 151 her? He's married to her. He can 151. Yeah, he can 151 her. And that's at least 72 hours. Right. I want to know if he was going to be charged too. And the fact that who lets that just slide? But this is the thing too. Who lets all this slide? Like she got up on the stand, the mother-in-law got up on the stand, the sister got up on the stand. They're all saying, oh, she was like so bad. They're all repeating what the lawyer's saying, yet no one called. Like if my sister did that, I would be like, yeah, you need help. I'm calling CPS, I'm calling somebody. But it's like they either didn't believe her or didn't care. One of the two. 187 hurt. And that's the weird thing too, is that the lawyer said, the lawyer asked the psychiatrist what the phone call was, right? And she was like, I wanted to see how we were, like how he was doing and how we were going to be and all this stuff. I'd been like, y'all need to call me, bitch, because I will tell you how we are. We are nothing. You killed my children. Period. That's how we are. Nothing. And that's when she said she heard a voice that commanded her and then told her. So like there's two different things there. Commanded her or said to her. That's what it was. Commanded her and then said to her that she needed to kill her children and then herself. I find that very hard to believe. And I find it very suspicious that this dude knows Reddington for 20 years and they are friends. That's not an unbiased doctor going in and doing this evaluation. I don't know how that's allowed. Their opinion husband thought he'd be free. People are scum. Yeah, no, I know. I just read some stuff where a mother put her 1-year-old baby in boiling hot water, or 1 month old, 1 week old. I don't know, one something year old, one something. Their voices often and don't mean it, really going into aisle 2 for cleanup, just so the voice be a rubble, right? And then while we were waiting on break, I read something about a mother doing that. And then I read, I was reading articles just to like do something while we're waiting for all these stupid breaks. So a teenage girl had her mother shot. She had her boyfriend and his roommate break in the house, shoot her mother, and then shot the father because he was trying to perform CPR on the mother. And it was planned by the daughter. And I'm like, what is going on in the world right now that children are killing parents and parents are killing children? Like, what is happening? That our go-to is just kill everybody. It's just weird. It's wild. It's like the Wild West out there. Kill somebody over a hamburger, kill somebody over. And the whole thing was she set it up to have her mom killed and then her dad killed because he was performing the CPR. And her whole thing was they didn't know who her boyfriend was because they're racist. What? So you killed your mom because she's racist? Mm-hmm. It's becoming so common that it's not even shocking anymore. Right. Well, that's right. Well, nobody's thinking about the next 5 minutes. Everybody's thinking about like right now. And everybody is so emotionally immature. Right? Like, like if I ask you a question, it's an attack. If somebody cuts you off in traffic, you want to start a fight and shoot somebody. Like, to me, it's crazy. Like somebody got beat up literally in the grocery store for cutting somebody in line. Like, so now we have like, what is it? What is it when you're like traffic? Oh, I'm talking to Aaron. He's not even listening. Instant gratification and the culture pushing that. Yeah, exactly. Road rage. Road rage in the grocery store. I don't even know how that's possible. It's wild work out there, man. I don't know. But anyway, well, I am going to call it a night. I will see everybody Thursday at 9 a.m. because I am not going to be on tomorrow. And then the grocery rage on tonight at 8, right? I'm telling you, it's crazy. But anyway, I appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with me. I appreciate everybody who shows up and hangs out with me and watches the stream. Like, subscribe, and share. Keeps me in the algorithm. I appreciate everybody's comments and likes. Anyway, I will see you all Thursday at 9 a.m. Thanks for the stream. You have a good night too, and good luck tomorrow. I hope you really get it. Let me know how it goes. Anyway, see you next time.
Man, club just a system, but the deck's set to fail. You speak for transparency, they call it a crime. Next day, you suspended for 6 months of your time. Pedigree, politics, trophies on the wall. Vanity awards while the ethics take a fall. They say it's for the free, but we know what it is. Power in the clubhouse, silence in the pit. Pedigree, politics, ribbons and lies. Smiles at the banquet, but the truth in disguise. You can muzzle the voice, but the truth don't crit. Dog show, kingdom built on counterfeit grit.